And you got to believe they're thinking, if he can't make it here, how's he going to make it anywhere? Like you would think you'd be accepted in your hometown. You go back home, the priests, they praise you, not run you out of town and try to kill you. Notice what happens left. Verse 29, they what?
They got up and drove him out of town and brought him to the edge of the hill that their town was built on, intending to hurl him over the cliff. But he passed right through the crowd and went on his way.
Okay, now I've read this wrong for years. Like I thought, okay.
I was sorry, it kind of just disappeared.
Yeah, let me ask you what you think, because I've studied this one. Bothered me for a while. I was like, I got to get an answer to this. I've always thought this was kind of like Star Wars. You know, like a ghostly fort. That's where you were going. I knew that's where you were going, because that's where I was. I was like, well, maybe it's Jesus. Of course he can do that. So it's like this supernatural. He just kind of, everybody's ready to kill him, picking up stones, and all of a sudden he just like walks through the crowd and they leave. That's not how it happened, by the way. I don't think. Remember, he's a man. They know that. Okay, they want a sign. That would have been a sign. He's not going to give him a sign. So here's what happens: they take him to the edge of the cliff. We take our Israel tour here. By the way, we're going to go back to Israel on 26 March, prayerfully, God willing. We'll go back again if we can. But I love taking people to the cliff of Nazareth, where they believe they brought Jesus up, pretty high cliff, and we overlook the city, and it's down below. They bring him up to this cliff, and they're about to stone him. Now, according to Levitical law, in order to stone someone for blasphemy, because this was blasphemy, Messiah's going to bypass it. You're crazy. We're going to kill you for this. Okay. In order to stone someone, you had to have what before you could? And the way they stoned you is they threw you off a high cliff or a mountain, and they just took big boulders and they threw them off the cliff and crushed you. It was horrible. It's a horrible way to die. But that's how the Jews kill people. The Romans used crucifixion. So the Jews were about stoning, which is why Stephen died by stoning. Paul almost died by stoning, and he came back to life. But it's horrible death, broken bones and crushed skulls. It's horrible. So they're taking Jesus to the cliff. They're about to push him off, and then they're going to stone him. But before they do that, they have to have the evidence of how many witnesses? 2 to 3 witnesses. Okay. So they go to the edge of the cliff. This is, I think, what happens. They go to the edge of the cliff, and they're like, all right, who's got something against him? And everybody's looking around, because they know the enormity of this decision. And everybody's looking around, and nobody wants to go up and say it. So it's almost like Jesus waits, and he's like, all right, let's go, boys. And they can't indict him because they don't want the blood on their hands. So basically, I think what they do is they let him go, and they let him leave. And that right there is the beginning of the ministry of Jesus.